What's going on, everybody? My name is Cameron Hessen, and you're watching the NexGen Paranormal Podcast. Fortunately, today I'm joined by NexGen's co-founder and lead investigator, Jimmy Dillahay.
How's it going, everybody?
Jimmy, let's go ahead and kind of tell them a little bit about you before we get into the finer details of what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay, so my name's Jimmy Dillahay. I'm 30 years old. I got a family, a wife, and one son, 3 years old.
Little Nash, he's the man.
Yeah, little wild child. If you guys have a 3-year-old, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But so I live in a very rural area. I grew up in Russellville, Kentucky, then moved to another county, and I've been there ever since. And I'm basically your relaxed, laid back type of person. So I don't get, nothing really tenses me up a lot. Very easy to get along with. I mean, I would say.
I mean, I can agree with it. We've been friends for well over 20 years.
Yeah.
So
he's like basically a brother to me. So
much to the point that people have now started to mistake us as brothers.
Yep.
It just happened again last night at dinner.
Oh yeah.
So
and I don't know what, I mean, I guess I can see a resemblance. We're basically the same age, but
we're the same age. We're white and we have a beard.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That's about the resemblance that we have. So I mean, it is cool. Like I said, we've been friends for well over 20 years. We've gotten to know each other very well over the last couple of decades. So you got a chance to explain yourself and tell people who you are. As I said, my name is Cameron Hessen. I'm 31 years old. Unlike Jimmy, I do not have a family or a child. Any single ladies out there watching? No, I mean, we grew up in the same area. Grew up in Logan County, Kentucky. A little bit of foreshadowing for what we're going to be talking about. Grew up in Auburn, very modest home. A brother, a sister, both my parents, my mom and my dad. Great childhood, can't really complain too much. And a very supportive childhood, fortunately. That's the only reason I think that I'm still doing this today is because I did have a supportive family. Because if you know anything about where we're from in Kentucky, the Bible Belt, any mention of ghosts, demons, godforsaken, all that is kind of frowned upon.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But I got very lucky with my family to not have that sort of negative talk about what I do. And to the point, like, they're all very supportive, especially with the YouTube videos. They all watch the YouTube videos the day they come out. If my brother, he's adamant that we don't post enough because he just wants more to watch, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's trying to make fun of me or if he just wants to support me. As an older brother, it's really hard to tell.
And I mean, that's a good point. You know, I guess I wouldn't be doing this today if it weren't for, a supportive family. It's got my back.
And you do have an amazing family. Your brother has joined us on a couple investigations.
Yep, Joey. Joey has been phenomenal on the investigations he's been with us on.
He's a great dude to be around. I remember him as a little Joey.
Oh yeah.
He was, at the time, he was annoying. He was a little brat, but he was just because he was little.
Yeah.
But now it's just fun to be around him and talk to him as a fully fledged adult.
Mm-hmm.
And you have two amazing parents also.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My parents have supported me through anything I'm doing, and I could say the same about yours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your parents are tremendous at anything you put your mind to. They'll back you up with it. So.
Yeah. And of course you have an older sister as well, because our sisters are the same age. So we grew up the same age. Kristen and Paige grew up the same age. So we just kind of, the only thing I'm missing is a little brother.
Yeah.
So that's where Joey comes in. We kind of share him. We share custody of Joey. But no, it's been fun growing up with you. But let's kind of talk about why we're here. So the NexGen Paranormal Podcast, when we decided to do this, we wanted to do it as a way to reach out to you guys and tell you a little bit more about our history, things we have going on, locations that we're going to be visiting, because we've been lucky to visit several really good places, and we've got a lot more on the books for next year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We're going to talk about that a little bit later on, though. And so this is just a way to kind of reach out to you guys a little bit more and to see us when we're not on a location in black and white and see us in our true color. You're welcome. So when we started the team, let's kind of take it all the way back. We were 16, 17 years old roughly when we started getting interested in the paranormal. So for me personally, when I started really learning about the paranormal, learning about ghosts and haunted places and everything involved, it was just from the advent of mainstream media. Because at the time, Ghost Hunters was really the only episode out. That and there was Most Haunted. You remember like Derek
Yeah.
Acora and all that. The
Oh yeah, I
the blonde
remember.
medium who was kind of wild. It's so funny. But I really got into it with Ghost Hunters. Jason Halls, Grant Wilson, Steve, all of them. That's when I really started to think, okay, it's not weird. But if you know anything about me, I'm a chicken. Like, there's no logical reason for me to be a ghost hunter. Something that most people find to be absolutely scary. I'm terrified of everything. But for some reason, when I'm out on location, it's not scary to me. But I think it's because I've learned a little bit about it over the years. And I've learned that not everything has to be terrifying. When you look on YouTube, it's very easy if you search haunted, you're going to see the word demon on just about every video.
Yeah.
Ours, never. We have like an unspoken rule that you're never going to put demon in a video because that's not how you sell the video, because most of it's a lie. Just because you're a little terrified and you run around, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And we grew up together, so we got to talk a little bit about it. Well, I think we were in high school. So like, what I know, but the people don't know, what sort of got you interested in the paranormal to start?
Well, very similar to your story you told us. When Ghost Hunters was first coming on the air, basically I watched every episode, and it intrigued me with the way their style was, and I'm sure that's why they became so popular as well. Was because they went into buildings knowing they were just brick and mortar. Until they were proven otherwise, they basically came in to disprove hauntings. And that's the style. I think that's how you get your most objective evidence for anything you do. And so, on your note of being scared, I'm very self conscious, or I used to be at least. And so, whenever I would do this, when we started Logan County Paranormal Society, we'd go to these people's houses, and I would expect them to look at me and say, start laughing, or
Well, we were
start cutting
children
up.
trying to do this too.
Right. So, even when we're out in public, we had our shirts on, and so I would even be self conscious of that. But over time, I was just like, you know what? There's nothing. I mean, everyone's got their own hobbies, their own enjoyments they like to do in life, and this just happened to be one of them.
And if you don't remember, like when we were first getting started, there was one thing I kept telling you when it came to promoting the team is like, just do it. There's nothing you're gonna lose. Once you pop that silly, it would amaze you how many people are willing to talk about the paranormal.
And that was exactly the case.
And
I mean, it worked flawlessly, I think.
yeah, I mean, like I said, it just when you get more comfortable with it, and you're more socially adept to be able to talk about what we do and not feel any sort of shame or embarrassment in it,
Oh yeah.
because there's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Yep. Well, at least nowadays, yeah.
Because when you hindsight is 2020 clearly, but my best friends, the people that I still hang out with mostly to this day, are you guys, you and Adam, who we'll talk a little bit about later on, and Aaron and Owen, all of these guys, and Brandon Davis,
Yep.
who started the team with us. All of these guys I've been able to forge such a strong friendship with, even during my rough years. Like we've talked about, we're not going to get into it on this, but we've talked about it in depth. Like I've had some issues in my past, just like you've had issues, in Brandon and even Adam and all them. We've all had our own issues, and we've all roughed the storm. We've weathered it. We've gotten to where we are now, and I'm very fortunate to have you guys as my friends.
And some would say psychopaths.
A little bit, yeah. We're a little bit psycho, but let's kind of take it back to like what interests you. Was there ever a time growing up, like I know for me personally there is, was there ever a time growing up that you had like a personal experience that started to kind of make you think a little bit more about ghosts maybe existing?
Oh yeah, of course. There were plenty of experiences, but one stood out over all of them, and I just happened to get it on camera too. So We'll show you that later on in a different episode. But
What can you at least like kind of talk about it a little bit? Like,
yeah. So I was out with two or three friends of mine. We had just gotten our driver's license, so we went to just an old abandoned house. I was talking to them about ghost hunting and stuff, and we went in there with my new like digital camera. The ones that you used to carry in your pocket, and it was
the
only a
old
camera.
Sony Cybershot.
Yep. So that's what we went in with, and this was like a farm style, one maybe two-story house. We walked in there. We were just talking amongst ourselves, and then we hear three loud knocks
Mm-hmm.
on the back side of a door that was padlocked. So in the video, you can hear us scurry out, and But I think that would be the most notable experience that happened to me.
Yeah, because I
It got
remember
me interested.
I remember you talking about that when we were kids. You even took me to because I wasn't there. You even took me to the house.
Oh yeah.
Overgrown. It was abandoned. We literally had no right to be there.
Oh yeah.
Just like you guys had no right to be there. I mean, we don't do that now.
Well,
we don't go into abandoned places now.
Yeah, we were. I was 15 at the time, and I think the people that were with me were 16.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like for me, so again, I was a chicken. I remember there used to be a house down from my mom and dad's. It was a rental house. There was always people moving in and out. There was never a long-term tenant there. Well, one day, and this is something I've never even talked to my dad about. One day we were down there. Dad and I were like, let's go see what maybe these people have left behind. Because they left very quickly.
It wasn't a meth lab, was it?
I was 8. I didn't know what a meth lab was at the time. But I remember, as you walk in, it was like this very small one-story brick home. I remember walking in. Dad is off browsing, not paying any attention to his 8-year-old son. I promise he was a good dad, though. But I'm terrified anyway. So it could be a trick of the imagination. But I remembered seeing there was a man standing in there with denim overalls, bearded like a salt and pepper beard, just standing there looking at me in the kitchen. Don't know where my dad was, but my dad does not have a beard, has never had like a full beard.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen my dad in overalls.
I don't think I have either.
And so I knew it wasn't my father. Because even at 8 years old, I know what my dad looks like. But that one, it's stuck with me for so long that I don't know why I'm a ghost hunter, because it was terrifying. I didn't know if I was looking at a human, but I know the next thing, when I turned around to look for my dad and I turned back around, that man was gone.
I mean, these experiences, such as that, they're so perplexing, it's hard to wrap your mind around it.
And
it
even,
really is.
We've been doing this for 13 years, well, almost 14. Even to this day, when we have an experience, it's still so perplexing.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's why there's so many people that are out here doing what we do, because there's got to be a rhyme or reason behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the tools have been made yet to measure this kind of occurrences, but I think the field will open up the opportunity to develop better investigative techniques, devices, technology to measure and record everything that happens, like in that old house.
Well, like you, like I believe that tools are available. That not tools, but the technology and the science is available to be able to detect paranormal anomalies and to measure them correctly. I just don't think that the average consumer has access to those yet.
Yeah.
There's still so much that the government's going to withhold from us, the military's going to withhold from us, and even the science that's still being worked on to this day. There's stuff that we don't have access to yet that I believe within the next 15 to 20 years we will have access to.
Oh yeah, I mean, in 1993, the military was walking around with Blackberries in their hand.
Yeah.
With GPS. So.
And in late 2000s, I had BlackBerry.
Yep.
Brick Breaker, you remember that game? That was the best game.
Oh, do I?
Now we have these iPhones, so everything's touchscreen.
Yep.
But so, like I said, I kind of alluded to, we've been doing this for 13 years, and you're 30, I'm 31, so that naturally, I just turned 31, by the way, yesterday, actually. And fun fact about that. So my inspiration to get into the field and like just start making me learn about it was Jason Halls from Ghost Hunters. Do you know we share the same birthday?
Really?
Yeah. And we're both bald. Thank you. But no, so it is fascinating that I do share that birthday with him. Hopefully one day I get to sit down and have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
Because it'd be very fascinating to actually pick his brain. We're going to be in Rhode Island in a few months. So
Might be an opportunity there.
I can't really tell you what we're doing in Rhode Island because Adam's not going to let either of us know. But it's for a video that we have planned for you guys. But that's later on. We'll talk about that another time. But yeah, so we started this 13, 14 years ago. And so Ghost Hunters at the time, they were under the name TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society. And so when we were children trying to decide what we wanted to name our team, knowing we had no business doing this, we decided we were going to name ourselves the Logan County Paranormal Research Society. It's an absolute mouthful. LCPRS for short. Just saying the abbreviation is a mouthful.
Yeah, it didn't really roll off the tongue.
But it's where we were from, so we wanted to include that. And then, of course, Paranormal Research Society. And
you know, after making that slogan, like that name, I thought we were going to have calls coming in left and right, and here and there.
What do we do? 2 investigations?
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
We did. I know for a fact. It was me, you, I think our friend Brandon Lacey. Maybe was Brandon Davis with us at Saddle Factory?
No.
It was a handful of us that we had gotten access to there's a museum in Russellville where we grew up called the Saddle Factory Museum.
Yep.
And little did we know that the impact that building would have on us, both from oh shit, maybe we could do this standpoint, and the fact that the man who built that home, or who built that factory, was also the builder of the Occupant Hall Museum in Franklin, a place that we feel very near and dear to. Yep. It's also very haunted. And so, a little foreshadowing about the future of NexGen and what's going to happen. But I mean, it was such a cool thing, and that's where we got our very first piece of evidence too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I still remember it. Well, we have no choice but to remember it.
Because we didn't purchase the right recorder.
Yes, but it was really interesting. I mean, to this day, the the voices we caught on our recorder that we were able to replay back to anyone and show them, it was a eye-opening experience. And you'll never hear anyone say the Saddle Factory is haunted.
No, because there's never been a team to investigate it but us.
Right.
To this day. And like I hope that one day we can get back in there. But so let's talk to them about that piece of evidence that we caught. Yep. So I remember it very vividly. It was you and I. Because we used to always investigate together. We don't do it as much now that we've got the rest of the gang. So we kind of split up a little bit more. But I remember we were up in it was a slave's quarters. It was the very top. Bare bones, nothing in there.
Probably a 5-foot high ceiling.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's one little like wicker chair that looked like if you sat down in it, you were going to fall straight to the floor.
Yeah. The only thing we were missing was like an Amish uniform.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I remember I was over there. I had the recorder sitting in the chair. You were standing up sort of where the door frame into that room was.
Yeah.
And I said, if you don't care, will you stand beside me and take a picture? And you had little Sony CyberShot at the time. I think it was the same one that we've used for years.
Yeah.
You had that little Sony CyberShot. You took the picture. And then in the recording, you hear the phrase, "Look at me."
Yes, that's it.
And like you said, like it's only going to be a story from here on out.
Yep.
Because the recorder that we had was not one that you could offload to a computer. It was internal memory only. And
just like us, it's internal memory only.
Exactly.
You know, I can even remember very slightly. It was a whispery voice, but it had an accent, like a southern accent to it.
Yeah, I mean, it was so profound to us that to this day, like that's one of my favorite pieces of evidence that we've ever captured.
Yeah.
Which is why I so desperately want to get back into the saddle factory. And so I don't have to drive 4.5 hours to get to a location. That's the worst part about all this. Logan County Paranormal, that's where we started to get our footing in the field. We started to learn about the paranormal. We started to learn gear. Because at the time, I think like the most well sought after piece of ghost hunting equipment, I think, was the K2 meter.
Yes, we did have a K2 meter.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that was like a big ticket item for us. K2 meter and a laser grid pin.
Yep.
I would have never thought that to this day we would have the gear that we have now. It's amazing what happens when you have access to adult money. Well, whether you should have access to adult money is a different thing.
Yeah.
But no, so that's where we started to get our footing. And there was a teacher that we had as our junior year humanities teacher, Jim Kelly. I have never had a teacher be so supportive over anything other than college education than Mr. Kelly, who to this day I still call Rowdy because that was his nickname. And he had overheard us talking about it one day. And so every day in class, he would always come up to us and ask us about it. And we would talk to him a little bit about it. And he's been all over the world. He's been to some of these most haunted places. He's heard a lot of the stories that most people wouldn't hear. And he took the time to invest his energy into two 17-year-old twerps in you and I to show us that, it's cool. Like, it's okay to follow your dreams and follow your passion.
Yeah.
Whether you get labeled a psychopath or not.
And at the time, I just thought it was cool that, an adult thought it was cool what we were doing.
Mm-hmm. Other than our parents.
Yeah.
And to this day, Mr. Kelly still follows us.
Yep.
He still asks about us. And he's still very supportive of us. So, Mr. Kelly, if you're watching this, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I can't speak for Jimmy, but I'm sure he appreciates it as well. And even to the guys that you haven't met, Adam, Aaron, and Owen, we're all appreciative. Because, to be honest, by de facto, if it weren't for him, we may not be doing this today.
Yeah, that's a possibility, yeah.
Like, every person that we encounter in our life has a small role to play.
Yep.
And if you take one piece of the machine out, it could disassemble the entire machine.
Oh, that's some deep theology you just went into, but
I wouldn't call it theology as much. Philosophy, maybe. But no, so as we got a little bit older, we graduated. Spoiler alert, we did graduate high school.
We did.
They probably wanted both of us out of there as quick as possible. We were good students, though. Ish.
Yeah.
We were good at looking off puberty. I'm still going through that. If you heard that, I'm sorry. No, we were fairly good students. We had good grades. We were good at reading other people's papers. They can't get us now because we're out of school. We've been out of school for a long time.
Yeah.
But we started to learn a little bit more, and we decided we wanted to sort of shift focus in the paranormal. We got tired of people asking, what's our team name? And having to say Logan County Paranormal Research Society, which is almost like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yeah, it was not fun.
And so we decided, let's change the name. And what did we change it to?
We ended up going with Western Kentucky Paranormal.
And it was, Western Kentucky, WKYP. Yep. It's even still labeled on some of our original gear.
Oh, yeah. I still have the t-shirt.
Yeah. And the hat, too. I think you still have the hat also, maybe. Yeah. But that's where we started to learn about branding and getting into these bigger locations and marketing and getting the word out there who we are. That's even where we first started filming videos.
Yep. Because we just got our night vision cameras.
the old Bell & Howell and the old Sony. They were good cameras, but no, that's where we started to really kind of dive into what would be NexGen. At the time, we didn't know what NexGen was going to be, but that's where the foundation started to be laid. We had, I think it was you had worked with a man who owned a haunted building, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jason Dillahay, and he owned Wilden Manor in Central City, Kentucky.
Yep.
Used to be one of my favorite places to investigate. Some of my most profound paranormal stories comes from that building.
But we did go there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, we were there just about every weekend for the most part,
pretty much,
but we had a chance to really dive into the location and learn about the history of it and the spirits that are still there, which is how an investigation should be done. It's if you go into an investigation thinking you're one and done, and then you're doing the field justice, think again. You can't. I can't learn everything there is to know about you in one day,
right?
let alone the stories of possibly dozens or even hundreds of entities. How can I learn their story in one day? Not even one day, 5 to 6 hours.
I mean, that's a good point. Every location you go to has a different story, different people, uh, different events that can impact your investigation ultimately. If you go in there expecting something, you might hear a mouse run across the floor and jump, but if you go in there and you know pretty biased about it or unbiased about it, then that's when you get surprises.
So speaking of going in somewhere and possibly hearing a mouse run around, how about a bear? Because if you remember, it was at this location, World Manor, that we've met probably our most influential connection in the paranormal field, a man by the name of Barry Gaunt, who goes by Bear. We had a chance to investigate with him and his team at the time. Of course, his team has also gone over many different iterations and many different investigators.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was him, Maria, and Jimmy Duff.
Yep.
I think those are the only three that I actually remember being there.
Yeah.
And we had a chance to work with them and learn under them. And they're people that still to this day that if we need anything, we can call and count on.
Yeah.
Except for Jimmy Duff. Jimmy unfortunately passed away a few years ago.
Right.
But we still see Bear fairly regularly.
Yep.
We talk to Maria every now and again. And they're people that whenever we needed to know something about the field or had a question about a piece of gear or a theory that we had just come across, they had the answers.
Yeah. You could almost think of them as our paranormal consultants, because that's exactly what they did.
Mm-hmm.
They sort of pulled out the red flag if they thought we were going off track somewhere, and they opened their arms with full embrace if they knew we were going down the right track. So.
Yeah, and they were one of the first to pull us out if they could tell that what we were going to was a dangerous situation.
Oh yeah.
But so Barry, to kind of give everybody a backstory on Barry, Barry, you're going to hear me say both. So Barry's been investigating for longer than we've been alive, well over 4 decades. He first learned under Hans Holzer, who is essentially the grandfather of the paranormal. He's worked on some of the more well-known cases, even more so than Ed and Lorraine Warren. And so if there's anybody that we want to learn from, it's a man that learned from Hans Holzer. That's where the show, the Holzer Files with Dave Schrader and Cindy Kaza, that's where they got their name. So essentially we're learning under Hans Holzer himself. If you think about it, it's kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
And so
definitely a pioneer in this field.
But it wasn't just Bear that we had met that would change the trajectory of our career in the paranormal. We had gone through a lot of turnover as far as investigators. We were just kind of like picking out pieces of people that we knew, seeing what was going to fit. Obviously, when you're young, 20, 21 years old, you're not going to get the right people.
Right.
Because everybody's got different mindsets, they have different priorities. And although my priority at the time was ghost hunting, too much of a priority.
Well, it happens. This is an expensive hobby. You think golf is expensive? That's a joke compared to paranormal investigating.
Well, my mom, she made like the funniest joke one day. So around that time, I think I wasn't working. I think I had kind of quit to focus on school a little bit, but I still wanted to ghost hunt. And so mom was like, why don't you stop hunting for ghosts and start hunting for a job? And like maybe at the time I was so embarrassed and like angry that she had made that joke.
Oh my gosh.
She was right. She was definitely right.
We need to have your mom's quotes on T-shirts.
There are some quotes I don't think are safe for work, so no. But no, so we had a tech manager at the time. I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if he's going to listen to this.
That was a long time ago.
But there was some issues that had played out, mostly to do with me. I was a hothead. I expected a lot out of people in a field that when you're this young and you're still developing your life, you don't need to focus on, and it created a rift, and we finally just decided to part ways. It was the right thing to do, but luckily for us, we had gotten it was either an email or a Facebook message a while back from a man named Adam Johnson, who was looking to join a paranormal team. He was from just right up the road in Brownsville. He had tried to join another team out of Gallatin who had been on TV. They never emailed him back, so we were the second choice. But that man would later go on to become our tech manager and one of our best friends. And I wish Adam could be here with us right now to talk about this. But little did we know at the time that Adam coming on would really affect how we looked at the technology side of things. It would affect YouTube and our journey into YouTube.
I mean, when I first met Adam, I thought I thought he was a pretty cool dude just because he had a big truck.
Well, actually, I think he had 2 cars at the time because the first time we met him at IHOP.
Yep. But I remember when he pulled up, he's like, "All right, let's get in, let's go." And I was like, "How the hell do you get up in this thing?" But no, and he was level-headed. He knew what he was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and so I immediately just put confidence in Adam that he knew what the technology would do, the perspective, and how to use it. So
yeah, I mean, he works in IT for one of the major healthcare corporations down in the Southeast. So, man, is very responsible. I mean, he's the head over a lot of it. He is a good dude, great investigator. He's the one that edits most of our videos. He edits all the He edits all of the investigation videos for us. Heck of a dude. And we've obviously butted heads. We have 2 very alpha personalities. But we both have learned to reason with each other and realize that we're not trying to push back on each other.
Not trying to outdo each other or anything like that.
We're just trying to find what's best for the team moving forward. And Adam would later come up to us and say, maybe we should kind of focus on rebranding a little bit. Maybe there is something that can be done. And did I want to rebrand again? No. But it seemed like the right thing to do after investigating with him for a while. And so we settled on a new philosophy. We realized that we're young. We were, 23 at the time? 23, 24?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
We were young. We were essentially the next generation of paranormal investigators. Like, we love Bear, but we know that there's going to be a time that Bear's not going to be here. So who's going to carry the torch for us? We thought it should be us. We thought that we should have a major role in trying to educate and enlighten the younger generation, because there are going to be people that come up that are younger than us.
Yep.
Owen is one of them. Bring him on. I've had a chance to talk with teenagers that are interested in paranormal, that want to join paranormal teams. I would not advise it, knowing what I know now and starting as a teenager. And I make sure to always let them know that, because we had our issues. We had a lot of issues.
Oh, we did. Yep. Me and Cameron butted heads plenty of times. So it's just starting a team. That's just what.
It's a miracle we're still friends.
Oh yeah. I mean,
God.
I can agree with that, but you just gotta have faith. I mean, if it's something you like doing, then you'll work it out.
Yeah.
So, and I remember having a call with him probably when I was like 20 or 19 or 20. I was like, "Hey Cameron, yeah, I'm done.
Hmm.
So
I think we had a lot of those calls.
oh yeah,
There was at one point I was over it. I left. You left, and it was just kind of learning the balance that we needed. And like I had mentioned earlier, I had very high expectations for everybody, not realizing that even though that I was willing to put myself through the extremes for ghost hunting to a point where I think it has affected my personal life. The course is starting to correct itself, but it affected my social life a bit because all I wanted to do was go investigate. I didn't really want to go hang out or try to date or anything like that. I had no interest in that. I wanted to go hang out with dead people. But
and so you live, you learn. So the lesson in that is don't have high expectations for anything or anyone.
set the bar low. But no, it's I think it's okay to have a high expectation. It's just knowing that needs to be a balance. We're not getting paid to do this.
Nope.
We do it just because it's something we enjoy. We want to have fun with it, and we want to hopefully kind of be a beacon for younger investigators.
And that takes us to our next topic.
So we decided to rebrand into NexGen Paranormal Research, which is what you now know. And we had big goals. We had a lot of investigators that we wanted to try and figure out how to work in.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, we just wanted to investigate and just to educate. And I think we've done a fairly good job of that. But it's tended to derail. Again, I was not in a great place mentally at the time. Sorry, again, for the sniffles. I was not in a great place at the time. And I was still getting angry. Like, if you were 5 minutes late, I got mad. If you didn't have money to go investigate, I got mad. Moral of the story, I was a I don't know if I can say that, but I might beep it out if I need to. But I was, and we've talked about it. We've had conversations about it because I've leveled out.
Yeah.
I've gotten help, and I've learned that it's okay to be who we are. But we'd really started getting some traction.
And I'm sure, with the people watching right now, I'm sure that's a very familiar story to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I mean, even today, I could still be that guy. I hate it and I feel bad about it every time. But it's still there. I've just learned how to control it a little bit.
Yeah.
But
like you said, growing our skills and experiences in this field it's got us to where we are today.
yeah, I mean, we've met the people that we needed to meet.
Yep.
And again, like the only remnant from the next team when we started is Adam. Well, again, we had a lot of turnover. We got to still investigate some really cool places. But when we started to gain traction and find the people that we needed, life happened. That's sort of what happens when you grow up, right?
Oh yeah.
And so
hits you like a brick wall.
Like I had finally decided, maybe you're right. I should job hunt instead of ghost hunt. And so I had gotten a job. It was harder for me to investigate. You had met the woman of your dreams. Either that or you just decided to settle. I don't think so.
No.
I love Beth to death. That's his wife. And
yeah, I'd met Beth and we dated for 2 years. And I was like, man, this is a woman for me.
Yeah, you got married, so you wanted to focus on being a husband, and you're like, obviously from the outside in. And I know Beth is going to have a comment about this statement, but you are a great husband. She's gonna.
Thank
I know you know what she's gonna say though, because she calls you and I we're each other's husbands.
Yeah. She thinks me and Cameron are married,
but we don't spend a lot of time around each other. At least not that much time. Nope. You run home to her. You won't run home to me. I can't get rid of you at times, but oftentimes you're ready to go home.
Yeah, I'm just a homebody.
And like you had your first son, yep. Nash, a few years ago. And so like you were going through the process of learning how to grow as a man, learning how to grow as a husband, and then eventually a father. that left very little time for ghost hunting.
Oh yeah.
And it's the same thing with Brandon Davis, who started the team with us,
Yep.
who now lives in Arizona. He's got 3 kids. He got married.
4 kids. No, 3. Sorry.
He's got 3 kids. I think. Brandon, if you're listening, how many kids you got? But we were all learning and growing how to be men. I obviously had a different path than you. Because you married, you got kids. I don't. What's that? Don't. I don't have a wife and a child. But I had a different set of expectations that I had to overcome, and that was my mental health. And so that's the only I could speak on, but I know you had your fair share of challenges with adopting that. So we decided that even though we started to gain traction, had a lot of Facebook followers, all that, we decided it's best that we step away. We didn't know that we were going to come back.
Nope.
It was never anything that was discussed. But we knew it was the right thing for all of us to do.
Oh yeah.
And it gave me a chance to go get the help that I needed.
Yep.
And to sort of find my own personal identity outside of the paranormal. And so as much as I hate that we missed that course of time, it was advantageous for us long term because of who we are now and what we're able to accomplish now that we couldn't accomplish then. Yeah, and I wish Adam was here to be able to sort of talk about what he went through during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's still like a lot that you and I don't know. It's not fair for me to talk about what he went through.
Yep.
But we had our break a few years. I don't remember how many years.
I don't know.
But we stayed friends. Thank you. I'm glad. We stayed friends, and
You're welcome, asshole.
I deserve that. Honestly. But we had briefly started kind of talking like, man, I kind of miss it. I kind of miss going to these locations. And even when we first started, like, we weren't going to big places.
No.
We definitely weren't going to places that we're going to now.
Definitely not.
1, we couldn't afford it. 2, nobody wanted to go anywhere.
Yeah.
We wanted to have this big, successful investigate every weekend, have different locations thing, but there's just not that many where we're at.
Yep.
At least there's some, but they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
You only hear stories of it. But we had slowly started talking about it. We had reconnected with Adam because there was a brief period of time where we didn't really talk to Adam. He was kind of going through his thing, and we were living our lives. And then we decided, let's kind of have a little reunion of sorts. And that's kind of what started. We had fun with it. I think you guys felt a little bit more comfortable around me. You didn't feel like I was going to bite your head off if one thing went wrong.
And we only picked 1 or 2 places to go that year.
Yeah, we decided let's keep it chill. We don't want to try and investigate 3 out of 4 weeks every month. Let's keep it simple. We investigate, if we're lucky, 1 time a month now. Just because we don't want to take a lot of vacation time.
Yeah.
To go to, because although I own my own business, I still have to work weddings. I'm a wedding photographer. And I have to be careful around that. And if I'm going to have a chance to work and make that money, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. And I work in the automotive industry, so it's always going. So you got to pick and choose your vacation very wisely.
And again, in that course of time, you had a child.
Yeah.
So you wanted to be around Nash and watch him grow. You have to wear a helmet around him because he likes to throw things.
Well, we lost 2 TVs, rest in peace. But we made it through.
R.I.P. Samsung.
Yeah, Samsung and LG. We know you're not baby proof anymore.
No, but so we've learned to balance our time a little bit more. Yes, we're focused more on video content than we ever have before, which is taking a different amount of time, but at least we're able to be home when that happens.
Yep.
And so, but we've focused more lately when we use that connection to Octagon Hall.
Yes.
And to Barry Gaunt to spend a lot more time at the hall. And we've been, in the fall, we were there, 4 times in a matter of a month?
Yep. We were there a lot.
like between novice hunts and fun hunts and just like our own personal investigation.
Yeah, and of course that location it never disappoints. It's always got activity going on.
We're in our
But yeah,
beds after it's over.
yeah,
We don't have to stay the night there.
yep. So
So
yeah,
it was
we definitely
quite
went
nice.
through a phase of ramping back up.
And we had a chance to meet someone else at this new juncture in our lives, Beth Allen.
Yep.
Who has become so incredibly supportive. She is one of our biggest fans. She loves us to death. She's a medium, so she's able to help us
Which I think is really cool.
from a spiritual standpoint. Yeah, and
Yeah.
she's been able to kind of tell us about things that we've all encountered that she has no business knowing if it wasn't for the fact that she has a little extra sense about things.
Yeah. And if you're a skeptic and that kind of stuff, it's just something you got to experience yourself. That's all you can do.
Oh yeah, and like I said,
I used to think it was all baloney until I met Beth.
she there was a couple times before that we had met different mediums and psychics who had kind of proved themselves to me. Cassidy Ray and Jesse.
Yep.
Both people that we've worked with. I don't think they ever appeared in any of our videos, but they were people that we had a chance to work with at Wild Manor. Very fortunate for them, and they started to prove to me that there is such thing as mediumship abilities. And then of course Beth comes in and just throws all that out and says, "You want to know what a medium is? Here you go."
Well, yep.
And it's so impressive. But they have become such great friends to us.
Yeah.
She sees us as her own children. We all love her to death. You can't help but give her a big hug when you see her. And I hope she watches this and hears that. But we spend a lot of time at the hall, and that's essentially a second home to us. Although we're not the home team, it's a place that we know that we can go and be comfortable.
Yep.
If we need to learn how to film something
Try
or
different techniques or anything like that.
new equipment, all that, like they're happy to support us and guide us along that path. And then now, like I said, we're focused so much more on content than we ever have. Filming videos regularly, whether it's vlogs, whether it's investigation videos, podcasts, TikToks. That's now a thing. That wasn't a thing when we first took our break.
Yep.
And there's so much emphasis on that. And so we realized we have to go to bigger places. And now that we're all older, we're all in our 30s, we have a little bit more financial stability to be able to afford to go to these places and not eat for 3 months after off of McDonald's Happy Meals. And so we've got to investigate some cool places. What are some of the places that we've investigated during this run that like really stand out to you?
Oh wow, there's a lot of them. Definitely Indiana State was one of those that stood
Dude,
out.
I love Indiana State so much.
Very very big location. Very old location too, and as well as the Ohio State, the Mansfield Infirmary.
Fairfield. Yeah.
Sorry.
Fairfield County Infirmary in Lancaster, Ohio.
Yeah.
You're thinking of Ohio State Reformatory, which we have not been to.
We have not been there, but looking to go to. But yeah, those are the two that have stood out to me.
Does Fairfield stand out to you because you got locked in a bathroom, or
no? Just because of the. Yeah.
Because we had gotten a text message from the owner saying, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to get there. There's not going to be anybody there to let you in. Here's the code. Here's the key. Go whenever. Have fun."
Yep.
So we were there literally the entire day, filming, doing B-roll. We thought we were going to put a video out of it.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, we were just so cold we couldn't move. Like I said, it started snowing, and so we're like, "Screw this."
We'll get a heck of a discount.
A great discount, but was it worth it? Absolutely not. So we we didn't even make it to midnight, I don't think. And we finally said, let's go back to the hotel.
Yeah.
And so went back to the hotel, got warm. I watched Miami Dolphins lose to Buffalo. But yeah, Fairfield's fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Fairfield. I want to go back to Fairfield. But Indiana State, let's kind of go back to that. We were just there. We got a video coming out on it soon. Several videos, actually.
Yep.
And I think you guys are going to really like what we encountered there. We had a lot of good activity.
We had some great activity there.
So the first time we were there, we didn't film. But when we went back this most recent time, I was able to have the exact same experience. And so in my head, I was thinking, like, if I have that experience again, I think I know what the issue is going to be. First time we were there, I had heard like these very loud footsteps, and it sounded almost like a walk at first. It didn't sound like a run. I gotta stop hitting this microphone. Then it sounded like a run. I was like, it's mind blowing. It's baffling. Adam thought it was something on the second floor. I told him, look up. There is no second floor. You literally see the moon shining through a hole in the ceiling.
Big dummy.
Don't tell him that. And so I was like, once I left, I started thinking, I was like, what could that have been? And I was thinking maybe it could have been like a critter, because it was very old linoleum flooring.
Yeah.
Because the building had been there a long time, and it got shut down in 2012.
Yeah.
And so it's very like it's old linoleum flooring that maybe the glue had started to release its grasp, and like popping sound that linoleum makes when it's not firmly glued down. So I was like, maybe that could have been that. But we get there, they ripped all that linoleum up, so it was just a solid concrete underneath. And I heard the exact same thing. You hear the walk, and then you hear tuk, 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 like it's running straight towards you.
Pretty strange. I mean, that whole place is strange.
And not to even mention that there was a point in the administration building, what used to be like the center of the tuberculosis hospital. I was up there with Owen. This is our second time actually investigating with Owen. And we're talking about snacks, because I think all of us had found a way to shove some sort of snack into our vests.
Yeah.
Because snack is life. And I was looking at him talking, and I turned around just to look down the stairwell, because it's kind of a winding staircase all the way down. Grand staircase, beautiful. I wish I could have seen it like in its prime. But I looked down, and there's just a child just standing there on the step below me, looking up at me. Scared the bejesus out of me. And like you see my reaction in the video, where I just kind of jumped back.
Yeah.
I pretty much tackled Owen.
Was it a male or female child?
It was a female child. It was a little girl.
I'll save it for another podcast, but that's interesting you say that, because I thought I was hearing a girl in there.
And I mean, I heard a female too. So I mean, it was such a wild location. But like, we have had a chance to investigate some of our hometown locations too.
Yep.
Notably, the old bank, the old Southern Deposit Bank, that is known to be the first location that Jesse and Frank James and the younger gang robbed. We had always heard stories about it for years, growing up in Russellville. They celebrate the bank robbery, which is a weird thing to celebrate, every year during the Tobacco Festival.
Yep.
Apparently there's a fish that Jesse James had shot that is on display.
The bullet holes in there. But, that investigation, that was the first time I ever stepped foot in that building. So it was pretty cool to see it all.
I remember I was out doing prom photos, like right outside, because it had a cool aesthetic behind it.
Yeah.
And the then owner had seen me, talk to me. He's like, hey, if you want to come inside, I'll kind of give you a little bit of a tour. So I had seen it firsthand before we got there. And then I'd had a chance to take Beth and Bear to do a reading there. She didn't know where we were going. And we had stopped into a coffee shop before going, because I feel like I give her a little bit of fuel. And I asked her, I was like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go shopping first? You want to get coffee? And she's like, hold on. I'm getting Jesse, Frank. I was seeing something about a vault. She didn't know anything about where we were going. She's from Atlanta. She's not from Russellville, Kentucky. And unless you're from Russellville, Kentucky, you don't know about that bank, generally. Yeah. And she picked those 3 keywords out. And I was like, okay, we're off to a hot start. Because she doesn't know that within 30 minutes, we're going to be walking through the front doors of the Southern Deposit Bank, which is known to be the first robbery of the James Younger gang. And so I was like, all right, this is cool. We had a chance to sleep there. I think you got the best sleep of your life there.
It was a pleasant place to sleep at.
The rest of us were downstairs just waiting on you to wake up.
Yeah.
I even kept walking in your room a couple times trying to wake you up.
Honestly, ironically, it's a bed and breakfast now. Or they're renovating it to be a bed and breakfast. I would recommend that thing on Yelp. 5 stars all the way. Well, those mattresses they used were just awesome.
Mattresses were comfortable. The lady was just so sweet.
Yes.
The current owner
was great.
Great location, great history behind it. The hauntings. although we didn't experience a lot of things, just being able to be there and add our piece of history to such a historical location.
Yep.
It's enough for me.
Yeah. And honestly, I went into that investigation unbiased, but I wasn't expecting to get anything crazy.
No.
Or at all, really.
No, absolutely not. But I mean, like, so we got that. We've had that location, but we have a lot more to look forward to.
Oh yeah.
Coming up, and I'm very excited about it. I know you are.
Yeah, I'm ready.
A lot
ready
of
to go.
content to put out there. A lot more podcasts like this. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. We're gonna have audio feeds available, video feeds. So whatever you prefer to watch or listen to, we got you. But we got a lot of stuff coming up.
Yep. And so right now I'm our I guess official TikTok guy.
Well, so, I think it's because you're the only one that knows how to edit a TikTok.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a lot more TikToks, and like you said, a lot more podcasts and webisodes.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited about the future of where we're heading. We've got some really good gear. We're all on the same page. I hate that I didn't bring up Aaron or Owen as much, but you guys will get a chance to really get to know them later on. I'm planning to have them on a few times, just kind of talk about them, talk to them about what got them started.
They're a great couple of guys. I wouldn't imagine working with anyone else in this field.
I don't think I want to be honest.
Me neither.
But we got a lot of good things coming. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please continue to follow us. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button. Go ahead and drop that right here. And just continue to follow along with us and join us on this journey that we've got.
Yeah.
To be the next generation of paranormal researchers.
And just remember, our content can only get better.
But we need your support. But thank you guys so much. We're looking forward to the future, and we're excited to bring you along with us. Stay spooky.